What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for The Oval on BET. This is season 3, you guys, episode 16, and the episode was titled The Hornet's Nest, you guys. So before we go ahead and get into this review, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on my channel and are not subscribed to my channel, then I'm gonna need you guys to do me the big favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys can do me the big favor by, one, subscribing to my channel, turning on your post notifications, sharing the video, and also liking the video, you guys. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let's get into The Oval on BET. All right, you guys, so this episode we pick up and we're dealing with Hunter. So you guys remember in the last episode that Hunter went out to the parking garage, got into the van where Kareem was asked. Now he's asking Kareem, so you wanted to talk to me. They went back and forth for a good minute. Kareem says no. Hunter says, you wanted to talk to me. Kareem says no. Hunter says, you want to talk to me. We went back and forth, right? So then he asked him, so is your girlfriend, is she at your apartment? He says no. He says, is she at your apartment? He says no. He says she left about an hour ago, right? So then, he says, what did she tell you? He says, she didn't tell me anything. So then Hunter tells him, I'm going to teach you a lesson. I'm going to put you in your place, basically, right? I was like, oh, is that what we're doing? I guess, right? So then when Hunter gets out of the van, Brick is standing there, right? And, Hunter is very impressed with Brick, with the fact that Brick was able to get him there, to get him to the hospital, get Hunter out to the van, and no one is none the wiser about it, right? So Hunter is impressed with that, and we'll talk about that a little later in the review. So then we see Nancy, right? You guys remember Sam, he went over there to spend the night with Nancy, Richard, and Barry, right? So Nancy, she's making breakfast for everyone, and she tells Sam, like, hey, Sam, this situation with you and Priscilla, like, you really messed up, buddy. He's like, yeah, I know. She's like, I'm not coming down on you, Sam. I messed up with Richard, and, basically she's telling him not to give up, to keep pushing, be persistent, right? So then Priscilla came over, and when Priscilla came over, she looked at Sam, and she was like, you know what? Forget it. Never mind. And Nancy, he says, you know what? I'm leaving. So that leaves Priscilla to talk to Nancy, right? Now, let's jump back over to Hunter, you guys. So Hunter went back to Jason's room, and he's saying, actually Donald's still in there, right? So Donald was telling Hunter that he feels like he should go back to the White House so that him and Victoria can, give a statement to the press, right? And Hunter is still focused on these damn nurses. I really, like I said last week, I hope that these nurses are not black, because that is annoying. Like, that is the one thing about Hunter's storyline that I just can't stand, is the mistreatment of black women, the objectifying of black women. That's what I just can't get with. I don't know why Tyler continues to write that in the script each and every time, but hey, he does. But we're gonna move on, you guys. All right, you guys, so next up we see Lily. She and Bobby, they're having breakfast, right? So Lily tells Bobby, like, I've been thinking a lot. He's like, what have you been thinking about? She's like, how I got myself into this mess that I'm currently in, right? He says, well, hey, I can help you get out of it. She's like, no, I don't want you to help me get out of it, right? She says, what I want to do is I want to be able to work in my, my boutique, right? And then I also want to file for divorce from Donald. And she says, I just need to call the attorney. He says, okay. He says he has a phone that can't be traced. And she says, can I use it? He says, yes. So he gives her the phone. He tells her, you push this button, and then you call out, right? And she's like, okay, so this button, and this button, and then call? He said, yes. So she goes into the bathroom, right? So then Max comes up to Bob and tells him, like, she's not calling a lawyer. He says, yeah, I know. He's like, she's calling Donald. He says, well, yeah, I know that. And he says, so it can't be traced we can't be traced. He says, no, we can't be traced. So then, he says, but I do believe she might call the lawyer after she gets off the phone with Donald, right? So then we see her, she's in the bathroom. So she calls Donald up, and Donald has just gotten out the shower, right? Donald thinks it's Kyle. She says, no, it's your other lover, right? So then they talk, right? She tells him that, what did she say to him? What did she say to him? She tells him that he'll be served, right? And that she's going to unlive him, right? So they have a conversation, right? He's like, oh, you must be with your big Trojan, right? She says, yes. She says, I've never been with a man before. And the look on his face is like, this is really trying me, right? So then he asks her, do you have Kyle? She says, oh, yes, I do have Kyle. So then he says, well, let me speak to him. She says, oh, no, he's thirsty. Because Donald asked her earlier, was she thirsty? I'm like, oh, that is a bad one, right? Is she thirsty knowing she got drenched with all that water? So then we see Victoria. So Hunter has made it back to the residence, right? And Victoria is in the bedroom. And she says, what are you doing back here? Oh, let me guess. They must have replaced those, these are her words, not mine. The young fine, the younger fine nurses with those older nurses that are not, she was saying, basically, what she's saying is they replaced the nurses that he think are hot with the nurses that are a little bit older that he might not find as attractive and desirable, right? So then, it's safe to assume that Victoria had them removed, right? So then he asked her, did you do the same thing with Ellie? And she says, oh, no, I didn't do that. That was, a random shooting, right? And he says, no, Victoria, go ahead, take the credit for it. I was like, exactly. Why is Victoria not taking credit for something that we know she did? Or did she? Because that is a good question, because we still don't know who, but I know it wasn't a random bullet from a gun, a random bullet. I know somebody targeted her. Like, I'm not sure what floor Ellie and Alan are on, but that was that was a marked job. Like, how random. Unless they're on the first floor, but even still, she was in her bedroom. If it's a gun, if it's a shootout, the entire apartment would have been sprayed with bullets. But hey, who am I, right? So then she tells him that he needs to have a conversation with the vice president. Hunter does not want to have a conversation with Eli, and I'm just like, but this dude just went to the press and told the press that you had unlived people and you don't want to have. Okay, Hunter, whatever. Victoria's gonna handle it, right? So then we see Victoria. So Victoria calls Sloan, right? And Victoria wants for Sloan to come to the White House, and Sloan is like, I'm not coming to the White House. And Victoria's like, oh, yes, you are, right? She says, I'll go to the press. When we did, that background check on you guys, yeah, you don't want the press to know about this. And she's like, I don't have anything in my background that you, she says, you're full of it, right? So then Eli comes in and, she tells Eli like, hey, the first lady, she wants me to come down to the White House. She's talking about our background. He's like, there's nothing in it. Exactly. He says, I don't think you should go. And she's like, no, I'm going to go. I'm going to go. I'm definitely going to go. I was like, ooh, is that a good idea? Is that a good idea? We shall see. But we're going to move forward, you guys. All right, you guys, next up, let's talk about Sharon and Dale, right? So you guys know that with Sharon and Dale, they are worried about Kareem, right? Remember, in the last episode, the last time that they saw Kareem, Kareem told him that he was going back to the pharmacy, which he did go to the pharmacy. And remember, they were trying to talk him out of going to the police station, right? Which we all know that Kareem did go to the police station. We all know the situation that happened with Hunter, right? But they don't know. They're none the wiser to this, right? And they're just wondering, could he have possibly gone to the police station? So yeah, he did, right? So it's the next morning, right? By the way, it's the next morning. And Dale is sitting on the couch. Sharon comes out and she's like, Kareem still didn't come home? He says, nope. And she said, and you let me sleep all night? Yeah. So she calls him. He's like, I've been trying to call him and he's still not answering his phone, right? So yeah, they called him, voicemail, no answer from Kareem, right? So now they're gonna go down to this pharmacy, see if Kareem is there, right? Here's the thing that I have a question about, right? You guys know what's going on with you guys. When you guys couldn't get a call to Kareem the night before, wouldn't your first gut reaction, wouldn't that have been to go down to the pharmacy to see if you could find anything? Maybe I'm tripping. I don't know. Maybe I'm the one that's tripping. But hey, we're going to move on to the next story. Priscilla, we see her and Nancy, right? So she's still over to Nancy's crib, right? So she's telling Nancy, like, hey, I'm about to get ready to go to work. And Nancy was like, are you sure about that? She was like, yeah. She's like, if I stay at home, I'm going to look at all the memories that Sam and I have. So Priscilla is in a tough situation, right? She stays at home. She sees all the memories that she and Sam have, right? But if she goes to work, she's still reminded about what Sam did with Victoria. So it's kind of it's a lose-lose situation. Like, which one do you pick? Do you stay at home and you have these memories of you and your husband? Or do you go to work and have these memories of your husband and the first lady having sex? So it's just kind of an interesting situation to be in. And I don't, envy that. I wouldn't want that, right? So then Richard, he comes in, right? And actually, Priscilla said, Nancy was like, so why don't you just take off? She's like, if I'm going to leave Sam, I'm going to need my own money. So that's really one of the reasons why I'm going, right? So then Richard comes in and he says, hey, Priscilla, what's going on? She says, oh, I'm getting ready to head to work. So she leaves out. So then Richard asked Nancy, so what happened? She said, she told him, hey, she came over here. Sam was here. He said, did she see him? Obviously, she saw him. She said yes, she saw him, and she just told him what happened, right? So then we move over to Donald. So Donald went over to Alan's crib, right? Knocks on the door. Alan comes to the door, right? So Donald is telling Alan, like, hey, I need you to get ready, get dressed, and get down to work, right? And then this scene with Alan and Donald was kind of a weird one for me, because if you looked at the energy, right, between Donald and Alan, and especially when Alan started talking about, he wants him to look at him differently, I was like, this is very much giving I'm flirting with you. This is very much giving sexual vibes. Just saying it. That's what it looked like to me, right? But Alan is saying that, he looks at Donald like a father figure, right? He wants him to feel like he can trust him, like he can depend on him, right? And then he tells him that, he wants to be like, if he needs him to run anything to, excuse me, I didn't mean to burp. If he wants him to run anything to the residents, he can do that for him, right? I'm like, oh, so this is his way of basically getting back at Victoria for, unliving Ellie, and get at Hunter for sleeping with Ellie and making him look stupid and foolish, right? And he then went on, he proceeded to tell Donald that, oh my God, I have these political aspirations. And Donald's like, ha ha, my boy, your girlfriend ain't even in the ground yet. And here you are talking about your career. I'm like, Donald, you don't really realize that you're getting played? Okay. Maybe is, okay. Whatever. Let's move on, you guys. All right, you guys. So next up we see Sam. So Sam is over at, would assume it's Eli's home, right? Well, that is Eli's home, right? So Eli comes downstairs and Eli's asking Sam, like, hey, when you talked to Donald, did he ask you about me and you, my kids? And Sam was like, he did, right? He says, oh, I thought he was just fishing. I mean, he was fishing, but he was trying to see if there's a connection between you two, right? So then, they talk about Kyle, right? And Sam says that Kyle, at this point, he's not talking. And then I know he asks, how long can he hold him? I mean, how long can he hold the man? I mean, you can't hold him. I don't know if this works the same way as with, the actual jail cell. Like in a jail, you can hold him only, 48 hours? I mean, technically, this is if I'm being thinking about this, what y'all are doing is illegal detainment, right? Isn't this illegal? Granted, I know that Eli signed on some document, right? But technically, this is illegal, right? Because y'all want him to talk. Right? but he is not saying, like, I mean, he doesn't have legal representation, so anything that he says is anything that Donald, not Donald, but anything that Kyle would say would be inadmissible, right? Am I wrong? Like, I'm just thinking about if you really just literally sit and think about this, wouldn't anything that he say, wouldn't it be inadmissible? They couldn't use that against him because it would look like it's coerced at that point, right? You guys have him in a cell. That would be it would look like you guys coerced him into this statement. So it's kind of confusing when I really just sit and think about it, right? So then Eli tells Kyle, not Kyle, but Sam, that Sloan is going to the White House to talk to the First Lady, right? And that he wants him to monitor her. He says, "Cool, we got it," right? So then we see Alan. So Alan finally makes it to work, and Alonzo is there, and he thanks Alonzo for last night, right? So then Alonzo asks him, "What were you doing here last night?" Right? He says, "Oh, Chief of Staff called me," and he says, "For what?" He says, "Now I can't tell you that." So then he asks him, "Did you bring something in with you?" And he says, "No." He says, "Look at your cameras." He said, "I did look at my cameras." And I questioned that in last week's review when he walked into the White House with his bag and that big black box that he slid through. Like that made no sense to me, and the fact that Alonzo let it slide still makes no sense to me in this episode. It just makes no sense why he let it slide. It doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. So then you guys will move over to Max, who's becoming annoyed by the situation, right? And actually, rightfully so. He has every right to be annoyed with this whole situation that he's in because, like I said, this is illegal detainment. And like I just said a few minutes ago, anything that they can get from him, they cannot use it in court and against use it against Hunter when in Congress or anything because it's illegally obtained. Like you guys didn't. Again, I don't know how this works. I don't know how it works because if you think about it, I mean, legal aspect of things, right? You haven't given him any contact with the legal counsel. Now, when you get arrested by, Capitol Police or anything like that, or Secret Service, do they have to Mirandize you? Because if that's the case, if y'all didn't Mirandize him, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. Again, I don't know the legalities when it comes to the political realm and, in arresting people, but I would assume it's still slightly the same as a regular police officer. Now, if you guys know, please let me know in the comments section below, right? Where was I at? And actually, my notes say Max is becoming annoying, which he is. But had I already talked about Kyle and Sam? I guess I didn't. I guess I didn't put it in my notes because I think that scene just bored the shit out of me. Because at one point, Kyle started threatening, Sam, talking about he's going to go after his wife. Oh, here it is. Okay, so yeah. So, Sam, okay, so yeah. Sorry, you guys, I'm reading my notes. Okay, so yeah, Sam then asked Kyle if he was the one who shot Agent Max and Agent Yuma. Suffice it to say, he didn't answer that question, and he does not have to answer that question. Now, let's talk about Max real quick, you guys. Max is like really annoying my spirit at this point because of the fact that he's in this big U-Haul looking truck, right? And he's calling Sam up and saying, "I don't have a package, Sam." Oh my God, Max, go get a life, please. Go do something. Go play target practice. Go to the gun range. Go somewhere. Just Leave me alone with this shit, right? It's annoying. So then we wrap the episode up with Sharon and Dale, right? Sharon and Dale, they made it over to the pharmacy, right? There's no Kareem, obviously, right? We know that there's not going to be any Kareem here. And they're looking around and they hear a noise. And who is it? It's Hunter, and it is that creepy ass Brick. And that is the end of the episode, you guys. So please get down in the comment section and let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on, share this video, you guys. And until the next one, stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Remember to wash your hands, wear a mask, you guys. Socially distance, be blessed. And I'm going to catch you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.